Welcome to the Growth Blueprint Podcast, your go-to guide for mastering personal and financial growth.
Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. We're tackling credit cards today, those little pieces of plastic that can be tricky.
We want to help you guys really understand how credit cards work so you can use them confidently and reach those financial goals.
Yeah, because credit cards are everywhere these days, right? I mean, whether you're buying a new phone online or booking a flight, so I'll be ready to demystify these credit cards.
Let's do it. Let's start with the absolute basics, even IS a credit card. And how's it different from, let's say, my debit card?
Okay, so picture this. You're at your go-to coffee shop. You know, the one with the comfy chairs?
You know me so well, already starting my day, I see.
Right. So you're paying for that latte, and you can use your debit card money, comes straight from your checking account, easy peasy. But then there's the credit card option.
With a credit card, you're kind of taking out a tiny loan for that caffeine boost. You're promising to pay the credit card company back, but not right this second.
So it's not really my money yet, right? It's more like future me is picking up the tab. How's that different from, borrowing a few bucks from a friend?
That's a great question. While both involve paying back later, credit cards have this thing called a revolving credit line. Imagine it as a pool of money, borrow some, pay it back, borrow again. It's this continuous cycle that makes credit cards unique.
Gotcha. That's starting to make sense. But I can see how things could get messy if future me isn't prepared,
Exactly. And that's where it gets interesting. Credit cards kind of tap into this future you psychology. It can be almost too easy to overspend.
Future you psychology, huh? What's that all about?
Think about it when you pay with cash. You feel the impact immediately, right? Empty wallet, bummer. But with a credit card, the pain of paying is delayed. You feel like you have more to spend than you really do at that moment.
I get it. It's like when you get your paycheck and there's this short, beautiful moment where you think you're rolling in it until the bills show up.
That's it. Credit cards. Super helpful if used right, but they definitely need a healthy dose of self-control and knowledge about how they work.
So using a credit card isn't just about swiping and paying. There's this mental aspect to be mindful of.
100%. And that's something we'll definitely dig into more as we keep talking credit cards.
This is already changing how I see my own credit card. And while we're talking about important things, that credit score of yours, it's a big deal, right? Seems like this mysterious number that holds a ton of power.
Absolutely. It's like a financial report card showing how reliable you are at borrowing and paying back. Lenders really depend on it.
Okay, so I get it's important, but how do they even come up with that score? It feels kind of like a secret recipe,
Well, not quite as secretive as, say, the recipe for Grandma's famous cookies.
Yeah.
But it is based on a bunch of factors. Your track record of payments, how much debt you're carrying, how long you've been using credit, all that good stuff.
Makes sense. So if my credit score is like a financial report card, using my credit card responsibly should give me a better grade, right?
You got it. Using a credit card the right way helps build a solid credit history and improve that score over time. Think of it this way.
So using a credit card the right way can actually help my credit score. That's good to know. But how does that actually play out in real life?
It's not like you're at the grocery store and they're swiping your credit card and suddenly your score goes up or down. But imagine you're ready to make a big purchase like a car, or maybe you're finally renting that awesome apartment downtown.
Okay, yeah, now we're talking some big life changes for sure.
Exactly. That's when your credit score really matters. Lenders need to know you're reliable, and your credit score gives them a glimpse into your financial history.
So it's all about building that trust with lenders, showing them I can handle things.
That's it. Think of it like any other relationship. Trust takes time.
Yeah.
You don't become best buds overnight.
For sure. Especially if I show up late with coffee stains on my shirt, that wouldn't make a great first impression. And speaking of first impressions, let's talk about actually picking a credit card. There are so many options out there, it's kind of overwhelming.
I feel you. It can definitely seem like a jungle of rewards programs and interest rates and all this financial jargon. That's why we're breaking it down today.
So where do we even start with all this? Is there like a secret code to decipher all this credit card stuff?
No secret code needed, thankfully. Remember that research you sent over? One of the articles talked about 3 main types of cards: rewards, low interest, and student cards. Maybe you could start with rewards cards. They're super popular right now.
Rewards, yes. I'm all about those free flights and cashback deals, though there's got to be some kind of trade-off, right?
You're right to be cautious. Rewards cards can be tempting, but you got to understand the game. You earn points or miles or cash back on your spending, so it's like free money, sort of, But
There's always a but.
always, often those rewards cards have higher interest rates than other cards. So if you don't pay off your balance every month, those interest charges might cancel out the rewards you're getting.
Okay, so it's a delicate dance then. Maximize those sweet, sweet rewards without getting hit with big interest fees. What about these low-interest cards?
Those are great for some folks, especially if you might carry a balance sometimes. As the name says, they have lower interest rates, which saves you money if you don't pay off the full balance right away.
Got it. So low-interest cards are all about keeping those interest charges low. And rewards cards, well, those are about those awesome perks. What about student cards? Seems like those are aimed at, well, students.
Yeah, they're designed for people who are just starting to use credit and build that credit history. Usually they have lower credit limits, and sometimes you might need someone to co-sign, especially if you're brand new to credit.
Like a training wheels credit card. I like it. So let's say I'm ready to take the credit card plunge. What should I be thinking about?
Great question. You always want to read the fine print, compare offers from different banks, and really think about how you spend money and what your financial goals are. Do you want travel points, cash back, or maybe a low-interest option to build credit?
It's true. So many choices. Makes sense to choose carefully. We've covered the good stuff, the rewards, the perks, all that. But what about the not-so-good stuff? Credit card debt, that's something to watch out for, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's super easy to get caught up in that buy now, pay later mentality. Important to remember, those purchases do come with a price, and sometimes it's a higher price than you think if you're not careful.
Okay, so let's talk about that. We touched on interest rates earlier. What do those even mean when we're talking about credit card debt?
Think of it this way. When you don't pay off your whole balance, it's like you're borrowing money, right? And just like any other loan, there's an interest rate. That's how much extra you'll pay back on top of what you actually spent.
So it's basically a fee for borrowing the money. Higher interest rate equals a bigger fee, right?
Yep, exactly. And those fees can really add up, especially if you're only making those minimum payments every month. Like a snowball rolling down a hill, it just keeps growing.
A snowball of debt, yikes. You mentioned minimum payments. Is that always a bad thing?
It's definitely better than missing a payment entirely. But if you're consistently only paying the minimum, you end up stuck in this cycle of debt that can last way longer than you want it to. Remember all that interest we talked about? Paying only the minimum means you're mostly chipping away at the interest, not the actual amount you owe.
Okay, now I see how I can get out of control. Like trying to outrun that snowball instead of just, stopping it in the first place. So how do we dodge this whole credit card debt avalanche?
Here's the golden rule. Only spend what you can afford to pay back in full every single month. Treat your credit card like a handy tool, not a way to live beyond your means.
Love that. Using credit cards strategically on our own terms.
That's the goal. And hey, if you do find yourself with a scary credit card balance, don't freak out. Talk to your credit card company. They might have options like a balance transfer or a payment plan.
Communication is key. I like it. So we've talked about a lot today. The basics of credit cards, the whole psychology behind them, even how to pick the right one. What's the one thing our listeners should remember?
Credit cards can be powerful tools when used wisely. Remember what we talked about, those interest rates, those rewards programs, and most importantly, spending within your means. That's how you build a healthy, long-term relationship with credit.
Perfectly said. Until next time, everyone, spend responsibly.